Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Kustas, and I am so stinking giddy today because today's episode has been a long time coming. And if you have been part of this community for a while, you already know who I have with me today. I've been sharing it. I've been putting out some little clues, but I have, and he was like, how are you going to introduce me? I have my adorable, handsome husband, and he is here with us today in real life. Hi, babe.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, babe.
I'm so excited you're here. And actually, he's just sitting in the other room. So it's kind of funny that you record these podcasts. We're not in separate homes. We are in the same home. He's just hanging out in his office space. I'm hanging out in mine. And I'm going to just say this up front because Andy does not do podcasts. Like, this is your first one, right?
I think so.
Yeah, never done a podcast before. He is a money manager by day, owns his own business, has been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. And this is the fun fact for those of you that don't know, he's also a musician and a DJ, I say by night. As a matter of fact, he's leaving town today because he is heading out for a gig tonight. So he's not shy, let's just say that. Not shy. But, you know, your first time being on a podcast can be a little intimidating. So he's stepping a little bit out of his comfort zone. But I am so excited because you're going to get to know him. And let's just be real. When I first asked him to do this with me, was there a little hesitation, babe?
Yes, of course. I'm on many podcasts, but I'm just usually the participant and someone else is talking.
Yeah,
I'm just listening.
exactly. You're not like directly being interviewed,
No.
and it's front and center.
I'm not the main character.
Not the main character, but you are today, babe, and it's going to be fabulous. And we're really, really excited. And this is the great thing about my podcast. And just to let you know this too, babe, I know you tune in a little bit here and there, but you're like, there's a lot of girl talk going on over there. But we're never about perfection over here. It really is just be yourself. And I also want to tell all of you in the audience that this is not about relationship advice from a pedestal. Please just know that we're not going that route because goodness knows we are all still trying to figure this out in life. So it's really about just real love, real life, and we're going to hopefully have a little bit of fun over here. So he doesn't believe me. Here's the thing though. He does not believe me that women have been asking about him for almost 2 years now since I've started, because I do mention you a lot here, babe. But he agreed to my shenanigans anyways, and so I appreciate that, babe. And are you ready to go?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so let's just get this out of the way right off the bat, because this is something that people always ask me. Yes, we met on Tinder. Yes, we met on Tinder. We used to hide this fact when we first met because I was the one who was kind of embarrassed to have met someone online, because back then, 10 years ago, that was still kind of a newer thing. Now you hear everybody's meeting online, but that was still kind of a newer thing. And it was almost like this like dirty little secret that I had that I was online. But I do want to assure you, because I feel like Tinder has changed. Andy and I don't know this because we're not in it anymore, but we've heard that it's this hookup site. I'm just going to say we did it because why, babe? Why were we on Tinder?
I think we talked about it. I think, well, one, it was free.
Exactly.
Right? It was free.
We were cheap and it was free.
Right.
That was why we were both. That was the main reason why we went on there, honestly. And here's the thing. We were both in our 40s. And Andy had actually just moved to California. So he was living in New Hampshire. That's where he had a thriving business, still does. And so I was just someone who was looking because I thought I live in a small town. We now live in a smaller town, to where I thought, where am I going to really meet somebody aside from the soccer field where all the single parents are hanging out? And I wanted to do it a little more privately. So that's our background. But here's the main thing I want to tell you, ladies, because I know we're doing this in our love series. This is the whole reason why Andy's on here. is I want women listening to hear that you do not have to lose hope. We were in our 40s. Don't believe that there's no good men out there. Don't believe that. And you also don't have to settle. You don't have to rush. You don't have to lower your standards. Because honestly, and we might get into this later, I don't know. We'll see where the conversation takes us. But I actually manifested and prayed for this man before I had even met him. And like I said, we might get into that later. But we both had been married before, so we'll just get that out of the way as well. We've both been married before. We have children. Andy was actually a bachelor a little bit longer than I was. I was out of mine for a couple of years. My marriage, I was married for 19 years. A rough, not pretty. Both of us kind of went through some hard things. But the bottom line is that we met in our 40s. There is hope. There are great guys out there, and you're going to get to know one today. So, all right, babe. So, here is the first question. I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
Why did you swipe right on Tinder?
I just remember you had a really nice bio and your pictures looked great. And I was like, what's not to like? So it was easy.
It was easy. Oh, I love that. Now, what made you, here's some questions here. What made you actually want to meet me in real life? So we started kind of messaging each other on Tinder. I think we exchanged over to phone numbers, but what actually made you want to meet me?
I mean, I just think that had a we liked each other's bio, and so why not meet and talk and get to know each other in person?
Totally.
Yeah.
And now that I know Andy, and this is the thing, and here's another thing that's like another fun fact. Some of the dates I had been on, it was a really long time before I had ever agreed to meet anyone because I had little kids. So for me, it was like this protection that I was wanting to just be really careful. But Andy is definitely, and he knows this, Andy was like the first time that I was like, okay, I'm all in. And it was just like a couple weeks of talking. So he definitely intrigued me for sure. And we'll kind of talk about that because we have some fun things that we really connected on. And I think that's what made it fun. But what did you think about our first date, babe?
Oh, I thought it was great. I thought we had great conversation and we hit it off. And
And
yeah, it
then
was fun.
how would you describe, because again, we I think, let's see, how could I ask this? How would you describe our dating before we became an official couple? Because we did date for several months before it was like
Yeah.
official.
I think it was just getting to know each other, and we met at certain parties and get-togethers, and it was just a matter of spending time and seeing if we were both comfortable and compatible. And so
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was great.
No, yeah, it was very easy. Like as far as like the dates, when we would meet each other, definitely very easy. Andy, you're gonna get to know him and see how easygoing he is. We'll talk about that for sure. Because I joke all of the time, and Andy's always like, oh gosh, don't do this. But I do joke all the time that he's from a different planet. And I mean that in the best way. And look at he's already like nodding his head and turning red. But here's the thing, we are so different from each other, but at the same time, we are a lot alike in our values, our interests. We have a lot of the same interests. But I'm going to tell you that this man rarely gets flustered. And I'm talking rarely, you guys. He literally has the patient of a saint, in my opinion. And he is, and I say this in all the best ways. He is very type A. He is way cleaner and tidier than I am. And I am so grateful that he loves me the way he does. And you know how, like, they say, and maybe you're a type A person out there too, like, they say type A people can't handle being with other people that aren't type A. Well, that is not the case in our situation at all. We certainly have our ways of doing life. Like if you were to look in our closet, for example, you will see very clearly our personality types, right, babe? But here's the cool thing about it. Andy will have everything organized like perfectly, you guys.
Almost
I
perfect, not quite.
Okay, almost perfect. Almost perfect. There's I like not a lot out of place, and space, right? And your shirts are all organized, you have the same hangers. I mean, it's tidy. On my side, on the other hand, it is clothes are hanging up everywhere. There might be a pile on the floor. There is, I mean, there's just stuff. I have a lot of stuff. Andy doesn't hang on to things. So that's another thing. It's like very clear. But here's the great thing, never says anything to me about it. Never, never complains about it. He'll make maybe every once in a while be like, so, like, maybe I could help you clean out your closet. That's the way. And it's so endearing and it's so like this is how we work. And people always ask us that. How does that work when someone is one way and the other person is another? And I really do say that we are very opposite. Would you say what would you say, Andy? What is something
I
that you
think
feel like we're super opposite about?
not really many things completely opposite because everything's relative on a scale from extreme to middle of the road. So yeah, I might be a little neater than you are, but it's not like you're on the way far one side and I'm way far on the other
Thanks,
side. So
honey. But I've learned from you. I think I've gotten better because of you and watching your standards and also learning how, like, and this is something we talk about that I love is that from each other, we get to learn how to navigate a life together. But it's also learning from each other and going, gosh, I see why you're tidy because, man, it is so much easier to wake up when your room is clean and you're
right.
not looking at clutter everywhere, right? We talk about that.
True. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So, I mean, certainly. Now, how would you say that we are super alike? What would you say in that?
I think our just the way we view the world and how things should be, right and wrong. Those are the main. I think those are the main areas.
I think so too. And I think that's so important. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, of course there's some things that we have different
Sure.
opinions on, but we can talk through it with a lot of respect. But I also am just like that's one thing that I feel like is pretty necessary in a relationship is that those values and just kind of the way you look at the world is similar. There's similarities. Would you agree with that, babe?
Yep.
I
I
mean,
would
I do. I
agree.
think like we've talked about past relationships, and I feel like that's part of why some of those haven't worked, in other relationships. But we need to talk about love languages because this is a big thing for me. I think this is so important. And we do talk about this in our own relationship, and it has been a game changer for us to kind of understand how we operate. And so, for those of you that might not be familiar with love languages, again, I've done a whole episode on this, I think last February. This is words of affirmation. There's five of them: physical touch, spending quality time together, gifts, and then acts of service. And I'm going to straight up say Andy is not a words of affirmation guy. And me, I am all in with words of affirmation. I am all about the sticky notes of love, saying I love you 100 times a day. That's me. So, Andy, let our people know what is your maybe love
Mine would
language?
be the last one. Acts of service, or
Acts of
what was
service.
it called? Yeah.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
Because that is, I
Well, it's
feel like,
because I'm a
yeah, go
doer.
ahead.
Like I like to do things, accomplish things, be for both of us, for you, for me.
Yeah,
So that would be
totally. I
easier for
feel
me than writing sentimental thoughts, even though I might
he's like,
have those.
well, that was just like the podcast. God, please don't make me have to say mushy things. Like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go on and say all the mushy things. I said, no, just leave that up to me. That'll all come out naturally, but you don't have to get mushy here. So we're not gonna get super mushy. But the way that he does show his love is by doing things around the house. I mean, honestly, we talk about this a lot, and I always say, babe, thank you so much. Like, okay, everybody knows that this is very important to me, and I'm showing coffee for those of you that aren't watching the video. I love my coffee, and I love having coffee outside. And one of the things, one of the favorite things that he does for me is make sure that backyard sanctuary is always up to par. Like, right, babe? I mean, you just always
Yeah.
do those things. And he will go and get my car washed. He'll go fill up my car with gas. I mean, there's just like those little things that I know that's how he's showing his love for me. But I will say, now here's the fun thing. It's been a lesson for me to also recognize, and this is just another thing I want to share with you, women out there, is that not only do we need to be aware of our own love language, because that's how we show our love, we also have to make sure that we are tuning into their love language. So, for instance, Andy knows that when he gives me a card on a holiday, that is speaking my love language. Like he is intentional about picking out a card that says beautiful things in it. He's like, these are the things I want to say to you, but I just don't like say those out loud. I mean, that's how you've described that. And then for me, and I know that, we get joking about this, but it is a perfect example. For me, if I organize my closet or I organize the pantry, this is a big, I mean, let's just get sappy here. I will say it and we're just going to get real. It like excites Andy. It really does. Correct?
I'd say so.
And I'm embarrassing him again. If you see his face on YouTube, then you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, he's just like, oh gosh, here we go. But it is true. It's always the joke. I'm like, well, if I want him to be turned on, I'm gonna make sure that I clean something up. And when I do that, he's like, oh, honey. And he gets a little bit more affectionate, but he is also affectionate. I think for both of us, our runner up, we both have the same, and it's like physical touch. And you'll always find us giving each other a hug, or he rubs my feet at night. So there's just different things there too. But don't what are your thoughts around love languages, babe?
I think you described it well. That's one area that we're different, but I think we appreciate each other's, how we express that to each other. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think so too. Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's get into some. We'll kind of dip into some serious, and then we're going to get into some fun again. But this is something that people, I feel like out there in our audience, there's so many women out there that are navigating either being single, married, maybe even in a blended family. So let's talk about blended family life because this is real and this is very real. Andy, what surprised you most about blending our family and literally taking on my two kids because I had them full time from the get go? Your sons are across the country, so it's a little bit different, but what was that like for you? What surprised you about that?
Nothing really surprised me. I mean, I've been around kids forever, so like having siblings growing up, and then
Hmm.
nieces and nephews, and then my own kids, and then yours. So it wasn't like a shock or a different
Yeah.
lifestyle.
You handled it beautifully. You still do. Was there anything that was harder than what you had expected?
um, I don't think so. I mean, I think raising kids just from your own childhood that you're going to have challenges and things that you have to navigate, and I think any parent has those. So I didn't think there was anything out of the ordinary.
Right. And well, and you did grow up with three sisters.
Right.
You were the only boy.
Hmm.
And so you have learned to navigate. This is probably where a lot of your patience comes in,
Right.
and being able to navigate that and understand that, okay, there's going to be fighting in the house, there's going to be arguing, there's going to
Right.
be moods, right?
Right.
And we definitely dealt with lots of moods. And, when both of them were home with us, because they were, gosh, babe, how old were they when we met? Young.
I think Alexa was 12
Yeah.
and
And she's 23 now, almost
Ryan was
24.
5, I think.
And Ryan was like almost 5. Yeah. So, what do you think in that dynamic helped us stay connected as a couple?
I mean, I think we both enjoyed raising kids of that age because
Mm,
we like to go to the soccer games. We like to
yeah.
do, birthday parties. We like to do all the fun things that you do for kids at that age. So I think
Yeah.
that helped
You
us.
were definitely all in on that. Like, and that was
Yeah, I
such a
enjoy
relief to
that.
me as a
Yeah,
mom,
I
right? I
enjoy
mean,
I
yeah.
enjoy kids games and parties and stuff like
Yeah, we spent
that.
lots of Saturdays. We actually kind of both, once the kids once Alexa got out of high school, because she played sports through high school, Ryan decided to take a different route and he's kind of more in leadership and ASB and all that kind of stuff. So he's not into sports. But oftentimes, Andy and I will go, gosh, we kind of miss our Saturday, soccer game days because I mean, our whole life really revolved around the kids always. And now it just looks a little different because they're older. So
Right.
we have a little bit more freedom.
Right.
I feel like you had taken a pause on your music career because you knew that that would be nights and weekends, and you really
Right.
wanted to make sure that you were present for the kids while they were little.
Right.
And now that they've grown a little bit, it's like you can go and have a DJ gig or go
Yeah,
play with your band or whatever.
for
So,
sure.
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest lesson for us as we navigated those waters at the beginning is that love and marriage requires a lot of flexibility and us not expecting each other to be perfect per se. Would you agree?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And
There's nobody perfect.
I also think that choosing each other while parenting was something that we were mindful of too. Um, you know, my kids literally love him to pieces, and we all say that he's one of the very best things that ever happened in our family. And he has taught us so much about respect and how to have a calmer home because we were a hot mess. We were a little bit of a hot mess, not him, but me and my kids. I mean, we had just come out of like some kind of like some big trauma. And so we were all over the place. And not to say that we were like, it wasn't crazy. I'm not saying that, but it definitely, I just feel like I always give Andy so much credit for not just taking me on, but also taking on my kids. And that made such a difference and continues to make such a difference in our marriage because I didn't have to fight for that. I didn't have to. As a matter of fact, one time, babe, I'm sure you remember this, but one time you had even said to me something to the effect of that I'm allowed to let my gosh, how did you say it? It was about basically like I didn't have to be the mom and the dad in the relationship anymore
Mm.
or with my kids, that
Right.
you wanted to help fulfill that and be the
Right.
dad and be able to navigate some of those tougher waters with like discipline and stuff. And I thought that was, again, I feel like it was one of the most important things that I learned as a mom and blending our family together. What would you say on some of that stuff?
It's hard to top that. I mean, that's exactly the way it was. And then
Is there anything you would have changed in those first few years looking back?
I can't think of anything.
Nope, because Andy is Eddie Eddie.
No, I can't think of anything. No, we had a lot of fun times, a lot of great trips, and
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Okay,
fun
let's
trips.
let's talk about that because this is so organic. What was your favorite trip that we took as a family with like something that you we go back on and talk about like some of our favorite memories? You can even name a couple.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one favorite trip
I
because we did
know.
we did quite a few. The times going to visit your brother were a lot of fun, because we
Mm.
went to Pennsylvania, we went to Virginia, we went to New Orleans.
My brother was in the Coast Guard, so him and his family moved all over the place for 20 plus years. And so, yeah, Andy and I, we did that like once a year, didn't we? Or every other year?
Almost, maybe
So,
once, yeah, for a while, maybe once every year or two.
yeah.
Um,
That was our first trip together as a family. We weren't a family yet, but we were dating. And I was like,
yeah.
okay, the only way that we're going to really be able to make this serious is you have to meet my brother because my brother and I are super tight and he was very protective of me and the kids. And so I was like, all right, let's go do this. And it was so sweet. And I always just love this. I savor this a ton. We went, and where was he living then, babe?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. And we went, and Andy actually found a letter in his suitcase. I don't remember. It was like, I think when we got home, maybe, but it was from my brother just saying, I watched you with my sister and the kids, and I just have so much respect for you. I have, I'm giving you my biggest blessing. And it was just, I don't have a dad. So my dad passed. I have a stepdad, which he's great. But, it was my brother kind of took on that role a little bit. And so that was just a really beautiful feeling because they've always had a close relationship since then, which is super cool. So
Yeah.
I love that. But
Yeah.
Andy also, he didn't mention these trips, but these are the funny trips. Andy also arranged for us to go to a working farm. And that was when my daughter was 16. Ryan would have been, gosh, what, 9?
Nine. Yeah.
And
Whatever, 7 years, seven
yeah,
years. Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing the math. Andy's the math guy. I am not. But we went to this farm, you guys, and it wasn't these like dude ranches that are super nice and like all kept and beautiful. This was a working farm. Alexa was so mad at us at the beginning, like furious, not just a little, but furious. It was their spring break. However, do we get more laughs from that trip talking about it than
Yeah.
any other trip, I think?
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was a lot of fun.
100% best experience. And that's something that Andy brought into our lives as well. I was not well traveled. I had popped into a couple places here and there, but I just wasn't. And my kids weren't either. And that is something that Andy brought into our lives is that travel is really important to him and having us experience different cultures, different, ways of life. And that's what he's done. We went on a trip to the Dominican. And again, we were not in any beautiful, people think of the Dominican and they're like, ooh, blue waters, Caribbean. I'm like, no, that is not where we were at. We were right on the border close to Haiti. So we went to help kids that were learning English in this town. And oh my gosh, again, just one of the most beautiful experiences, wouldn't you say?
Totally. That was memorable.
Yeah, we still
Mhm.
cherish all of that and I love that. So, if you've ever thought about traveling with your kids or whatever, like it really has been a game changer because now our kids love to travel. They want to see the world. Alexa has studied abroad, Ryan has studied abroad. So it's really cool because that was something I would have been so scared to do in my teen life, or even in college. No way. I was afraid to move 2 hours away from my home. So I love that. These are some of the fun things that Andy did as a blended family. So lean into some of those things. If you're dating someone or you're in a blended family, like lean into some of these things because it really can change your life. And it might be hard at the time, but I promise you, if you do it out of love, like your kids will see it in such a different perspective later. And that's what I think both of us have learned in that experience for sure.
Right.
Totally. Okay. Well, we don't want to, bore you with all of the details, but we want to get back into the fun. And this is the part where, I'm just hoping Andy's not going to walk out. No, I'm kidding. But we're gonna play a little game, and it's the Not So Newlywed Game. So, if anybody remembers, I mean, this was our generation. Babe, do you remember the Newlywed
Oh
Game?
yeah. Yeah, I remember it.
I used to love to watch that show, but I'm like a diehard romantic. But I always thought it was so funny because they never knew what they were going to answer. They would hold up their signs, for those of you youngins that don't know what I'm talking about. They would hold up signs and they would be like, there would be like a wall in between them, or they would be together and they filled out the answers separately and they would answer. Well, we're not going to have signs, but we did not discuss any of these answers beforehand. So we have no idea what we're each going to say. So I have a few questions here, and it's going
Okay.
to be kind of like a rapid fire.
All right.
So, Andy, who fell harder first?
You.
Me, for sure. I would have said the same. Yes.
Yeah.
So if we had signs, I would have said me. Andy says Noelle. Okay. Next question. Who dresses better? You have to be honest. Don't even try to impress.
You have more options as a woman than I do, so I'd say you do, but we both dress pretty well.
Andy. Andy is for sure 100%. Anyone who knows us in real life would hands down say Andy dresses better.
No,
Andy
thank you
literally,
though.
you guys, dresses for every occasion. This is the funniest memory I have of how Andy dresses and how it was so like kind of shocking to my kids because my kids weren't really surrounded by men that dressed well. My family came from like military, construction, not really like office type of jobs and professionalism. And Andy, I don't know, there's something about, I do think that the East Coast, you learn to dress differently than you do in the West Coast. Do you think?
I think that's true. It's generally more conservative. You dress a little bit more conservatively in
Yeah,
general.
we're
You
in
can't.
Southern California, so it's very laid back. It's very
Yeah,
so the funniest memory, and I don't even know if Andy will he'll remember it when I say it, but I don't even think he knows this, but the funniest memory that I have is our daughter Alexa was in National Charity League and we had a tea party and the tea party was yellow and white and Andy was coming to play the piano and we were newly dating at that point. I mean, it was fairly new. And so Andy comes and Andy is literally dressed in like a yellow polo because he has a color for everything. He can dress for themes. I mean, if you say we're having a 50s party, Andy will find something in his closet that he can
that's
totally
okay.
go.
I happen to have the yellow polo, and I had a pair of like white jeans or something, or white
Exactly.
pants. I'm not sure.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
he comes, I'm in my white and yellow, he's in my white and yellow, and we walk through. And Alexa at the time was maybe 14, something like that. And I just remember, or no, she was younger than that, like 13 maybe. And I just remember she looked at us and she was like, oh my gosh, they even match. Oh my gosh, Auntie is wearing the theme colors. And I think as a teen, like you're just almost like mortified, like, how is this happening? And I can't believe he's wearing bright yellow like the rest of us. But it was just so classic because it's classic Andy. This is just and I remember Alexa always being like, he's just so perfect. Like, what is the deal? And anyways, we laugh, but he's the best dressed for
Thank you.
sure. So, okay, let's go back to our game. Who needs more downtime?
I do.
Really? Do you think so?
I do think so. Yeah, because
Why
you're.
do you think that? I would have said you. I mean, I would have said
That's what
me. I would
I.
have said
That's what I
me. I would
said.
have said me. You do. Okay. Why do you say that?
I just think that you're fine with doing your
Mm,
work, doing these podcasts, doing having that's what you enjoy, and I enjoy my work too. But I like to have playtime too.
okay. Yeah, I guess if you put it that way, I might have been looking at that question maybe a little differently, but yeah, you're
Mm.
right. Andy he requires a little more sleep. He definitely yeah, okay, maybe I agree with you, babe. I might agree
Okay.
there. I think I was thinking about it a little differently, like just thinking like maybe I was thinking of it as more of downtime, like I'm not as social. Like I'm social. He
Yeah.
says, oh, you're so social. But I'm like, I need to like recharge my battery a lot more than I think Andy does in social arenas. I think in life, you are definitely someone that you enjoy. Like, you're like, I'm going to go lay out in the sun. I'm going to take a
Yeah.
nap. You allow yourself that. You're really good at that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Who starts projects and doesn't finish them?
I don't think either of us. I mean, we probably both have. I don't think either of us
I thought
really.
that was going to be so easy for you. It's
Really?
totally me. I start crap all the time and
But no,
literally,
you finished. I don't think so. I think you finished.
really?
I don't see like things left undone, and
Okay, well that makes me feel better because maybe
yeah.
I'm just a little harder on myself because I'm
Mm.
like I feel like that would be me that like I start something and then I'm like I'm bored and then I'll go do something else and you are very much like start to finish and if I commit to something I'm gonna see it through. I can kind of be that way, but I also teeter a little bit in that space. Who is more sentimental?
Easy. You.
That would be me. Yes, that
Yeah.
is very true. You guys kind of know that. Let's see. Who would survive longer without their phone?
Good question, because we both do
Ooh,
that.
this is a
We're
good one.
both on our phones a lot, but we're both on our phones a lot for work. For
True.
pleasure,
Mm,
I'd say you're on your phone more.
maybe.
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, but it's a close one, don't
It's
you think?
close. It's
It's
close.
close. Like we enjoy, I mean, we definitely use our phones a lot for business. So to be fair, we
Right.
aren't just sitting on our phones like ignoring each other because when we do go out to dinner, when we have our time together, we know it's like a no phone zone, but we do enjoy our phones.
Yeah.
We don't really love to admit it, but we do love our phones. Okay, who is more picky or particular about things?
I say we both are for certain things.
Oh, do explain.
I mean, I am in terms of like, big things like car or a house or whatever, but like
Right.
you are on maybe on the smaller things like ingredients in a meal or, like things should be a certain way.
Okay, fair. That's fair. And there's a little irony in that because I'm always telling you, don't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
You are particular about certain things that I think that you get hung up on that I'm like, don't worry about it. But
Yeah.
you're right. You are more particular. Like a car, I'm like, like you
Right.
will look at car videos for days, months. Like
Yeah.
definitely, even our trips and like
Right.
houses that if we get an Airbnb, I'm like, that looks good. This is why I am no longer allowed to, according to my kids. Now, Andy would say, no, you are, of course. But according to my kids are like, mom's not allowed to pick the hotel. Mom's not allowed
No,
to.
you you
True.
do fine.
See, I told you,
But
Andy
yeah,
would say,
I enjoy doing the research and try to find the best
maybe that's what it is,
situation.
baby. You just love to research more than I do. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't have time for that. So he's always great. If you ever want help, well, I probably shouldn't put that out into the world because people have come to us and they're like, Andy, help us with this. And he's like, how did I get stuck doing this?
Right.
Anyways, okay. Who is more, oh, this is a fun one. Who is more likely to suggest rewatching Beverly Hills 90210?
Probably me.
You guys, I had to add that question because literally, and I am not kidding, when I say that we had things in common when we met on Tinder, we talked about TV shows and like what we liked and music and all of the things. And you guys, we geeked out. The two shows that we geeked out on is Beverly Hills 90210. We did geek out a little bit on Laguna Beach too, but we were super into The Bachelor as well. So there was lots of like, that was when Bachelor was like in its prime. And so we definitely talked about that. But you guys, I'm going to tell you a fun fact that no one would know unless I tell you. So, Andy over here, my adorable husband. Okay, this is what I mean about he has a sense of humor. Everybody thinks like, yes, he is steady Eddie, but this is the cutest thing. And I should have had you pull it out because I really should have like proved this, but I promise you, Andy had shirts made. And Andy, what did you have shirts made of?
I just had
According to
one
the
shirt.
shows
I
that
just
you
had one
love.
shirt. It was
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
from
What
that
shirt is that?
show. I
Mhm.
just got a polo shirt with the Beverly Hills Surf Club logo.
Yeah. So Andy thought, oh my gosh, this is the best idea ever. And literally, again, we go back to the research. And because he loved the show so much, Brandon, who worked at the Beverly Hills Surf Club,
Yeah.
had always wore that green polo shirt
Yep.
and it had the emblem. Well, Andy literally, not just like, you can't find this shirt, you guys. This isn't
No.
something you go and find this shirt. What did you have to do to get this shirt, babe?
Well, I just made a green, I just got a green polo and I found the logo. There was nobody like even on Etsy or anywhere selling, which is surprising. Like nobody's selling that shirt. So
He's surprised. He's surprised that
I'm
no one is selling that
surprised.
shirt.
So yeah, I just found the logo and I just put the logo on the shirt. So now I have a shirt.
And babe, you wanted me to have a matching one. You do because you still dream
That's
that
true.
we go
That's true. You
dress
do
for
have that. We
Halloween.
do have
Like
the
we're gonna
matching one.
do
Yeah.
Halloween in this, right?
Yeah. I don't think you ever wear yours though, right?
No, I have never worn it.
But yours is white.
Yes, mine's white, but you have worn yours. Where did you wear yours?
I wore mine as a Halloween costume at Angela's, and she recognized it right away.
He was so proud.
Yeah.
She recognized it because I was like, everyone's gonna be like, what is Andy dressed?
No. If you knew the show, you would know. But a lot of people don't know the show is still like 30 years old now. So
Totally. Oh my gosh. No, but these are the things about Andy, you guys. This is why when I talk about him, literally why I am so giddy and madly in love with him because he makes me laugh at the most unexpected times because he just has this little side to him that I wish more people would get to see because he is, I mean, we do talk about this, right? Our professions, we kind of have to tone it down. And
right.
so, he's like, he will laugh at the most hilarious things. And like, we love comedians and memes and things like that. And we'll share. And he'll always say, I wish I could share things like this, but I can't. Like, I just can't.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
totally true. Oh my gosh. But so that leads me into the last question. Who has a better sense of humor?
I'd say we're pretty much even. Now, neither of us is like uber funny, but
We think we are.
right.
We always say that. We're in the car or just on our couch and we are just like right now, I'm just crying. Like we will start laughing about the silliest things and we're always like, we think we are so funny. And
Right.
we do, but that's how we get each other. And I think that's what makes our relationship fun is
Mhm.
that we can laugh at the silliest jokes or there's certain things that I'm like, "Oh, babe, you're so cute. You're so funny." Because I really do genuinely believe this. Like I feel like he is hilarious. You just not everybody gets to see that side of him. So,
Right.
okay, well, we're going to start wrapping it up, but we had and you did not know this, babe. So this is a surprise to you.
Okay.
Sorry, but I had to add a little something fun.
Oh, it's okay.
These questions came directly from our listeners. So on Instagram, I
Okay.
put a box out and just said, "Hey, I'm going to be interviewing Andy. And I got to tell you," and I asked them, "Do you have any questions?" Well, I got quite a few questions. We won't answer all of them because we just can't. Maybe we can
Okay.
on Instagram and I'll answer some of these questions. But I'm cracking up because even our family got in on this, like fully. And I know because I know the questions. I'm like, that came from family. So you have to be totally honest.
All
Again,
right.
just have fun with it. Not what you think I would want to hear. This is what makes things fun and juicy around here. So here we go, babe. Are you ready for this?
Shoot.
Okay. So, number one, this was not from family. When did you actually know that Noelle was the one for you?
I think after we went to the beach and spent a few days over the summer,
And why? I want to
I
know
just think we
why.
just had, great connection and everything, conversation, times with the family, and yeah, no, it was fun.
Okay, so this is so funny that you happen to mention family.
Hmm.
This for sure came from a family member, maybe my mom.
Hmm.
This one is going to crack me up because it just makes me giggle. This is her question.
Okay.
She says, and this is what she says in quotes.
Okay.
Honestly, what was your first impression of Noelle's family?
Oh, easy. I mean, it was awesome. They were great. It's not even a.
I don't know what she's
I
expecting to
know. I
hear.
don't know.
Like,
They
I
were
think that she thinks that, like, honestly, do you think we're crazy? Because we sometimes think we're crazy.
no,
Like,
totally the opposite. That was yeah. It was a bonus, like to have such a great family.
and I say the same thing. I mean, we all, and Andy and I agree, like, there's always weirdness in families. Like, there's just quirky people, there's quirky personalities. I mean, heck, Andy and I are probably considered quirky and weird to some of our family members. So, I mean, it's all relative. That's what Andy would for sure say. But, mom, just to let you know, he's not hiding anything. He has always said that from the get go that he loved our family. And we have an interesting, I mean, we had an interesting dynamic. I mean, talk about Andy getting thrown to the wolves the first time. Not only, this was actually before our trip to see my brother, but when we went to meet family, it wasn't just my immediate family, it was all of my previous in-laws. Like, that is a huge part of our family. We are still extremely close to my kids' grandparents, their aunt and uncles, like all the things. And Andy got like, He was in it. We were having that, I think that weekend it was like there was a barbecue, a birthday party, something
Mm.
like that. So I always say Andy was so much braver than I was. And I for sure was like, oh my gosh, babe, this is a lot. I know that. I'm
No,
sorry.
it was fine.
But
It
I
was
also
great.
knew that it, like, in order for a relationship to work, it had to be someone who would be comfortable in all of that. And Andy took it like a champ.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It
It was
was
super
fun.
easy. And his family, I was probably more nervous to meet his family. He has a very Greek family. I was nervous. Like, not so much with your sisters, they're great, but like your parents, they were very like, how would we describe them?
Old fashioned.
Old fashioned, very Greek. I mean, you walked into their house and it was like you walked into like Greece, a home in Greece. And, I just felt like they were very conservative in their values of like the Greek traditions and things. And I always say his family is my big fat Greek wedding, but just a little different, but there's a
Yeah,
lot of
but they
similarities.
liked you from the very beginning, so
I know they
there
were
you go.
lovely and I got along great with them. I just love them so much. And he's got both sides of his family. One is on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. And if they tune in, I love them too. And they're so great. And we have so much fun when we're with them. And they have just accepted me. I even got to be in one of their family trees. I was so excited.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
they have a massive family tree, you guys. His uncle has been working on this thing forever.
Yeah.
And just to see my name in there, oh,
Hmm.
it was awesome. But
Yeah.
anyways, great families. We love our families and we tolerate all the weirdness and all of it. But okay, now here's another one.
Okay.
Like I said, nothing like family infiltrating and hijacking my Instagram account, but this is from one of our children.
Okay.
And they said, what is it like to parent? This is the quote. What is it like to parent stepkids, especially as they are growing up? And P.S., you are doing it perfectly and you are way hipper than most dads.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh,
I'm guessing that's from Alexa, and Ryan
it's from
probably
Alexa.
feels similar, but no, I mean it was great and wouldn't change a thing.
I think she was more curious because I think, well, she called us last night and you didn't know that she had asked this question, but she was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to get my question in for your podcast tomorrow because we're all going to be tuning in. And she's so excited about it, but she's really cute. You guys, this is where I always say, like, have hope too. If you're in a blended family and it feels kind of hard sometimes, like when they grow up, they see you as humans again. And they don't just see you as like just mom and dad. I mean, they see you as mom and dad, but they also see you as human. And it's really, really cool because like Andy had a gig as a DJ and she brought all of her friends. Because she just supports him and she thinks like she said, P.S., you're super hip, way hipper than most dads. And she's proud of him and she's excited for that. And I think that's one thing that is, and even Ryan has said, when it's so funny because when he has DJs like at a school dance, he'll be like, ugh, I don't, they are not even good, Andy. Like you should be DJing our dances. So, it's very sweet, but I think she was more curious, like, is it different parenting them
So,
as younger as opposed to older? What are your thoughts with that?
um, yeah, I mean, you have to change with the times. I mean, when the things you or might be parenting for a younger child is different than a teenager, and so you're learning as a parent too. Not, I mean, as a step parent too. So there's
So
that part of it, but
yeah,
I
we've
think
definitely had to learn a lot.
yeah,
And yeah,
and
I
then
mean, it comes with its challenges for
yeah,
sure.
for sure. But
There's times that we're like, Andy doesn't do that. I
yeah,
do.
but nothing, nothing like there. You hear some stories of some
Yeah.
kids, and it's like real problems. We never really had any, major issues
Gosh,
or
please.
challenges.
We're hoping to keep
Yeah,
that going.
so
Like
no, the
we
kids
just
are
try to be there for them. I mean, I think they know that we are safe to come to. And I actually will say, I think Alexa, as she's gotten older, talk about like personality differences. Her and I are very, very close. Her and Andy are very close. now, closer now than they were before. Not that they weren't, but it's
Yeah.
definitely evolved. And it's interesting because there are certain things that she will call Andy for advice or
Mhm.
to talk to. Sometimes my feelings get hurt because I'm like, oh, why didn't she ask me? And it's not mean, it's not meant to be, but it's just that there are things that Andy can like talk through without the emotion. So,
Mhm.
talk about like emotional. I get emotional, I get very sentimental or, passionate. And Andy is just more of our, like, again, he's our steady Eddie. And
Yeah.
he's the guy that kind of keeps the balance, right?
Yeah. But she's still going to come to you for, most things that, she can talk to you as mom about.
Totally,
But
of
yeah, no, I'm
course,
happy to have that other side of, the angle where I can help her with some things too. So, yeah.
totally. Next
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Is it really true? So, this is someone who knows us. Is
Okay.
it really true that you have never said a cuss word?
No, that's not true. No.
Okay. When? When?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure
When you were a
it
kid? Before you met
many,
me?
yeah, many, many years ago. Yeah.
Literally, you guys, it is true that in our relationship, I have been with him for 10 years. Never once have I ever heard him say a cuss word. Never once. That is the honest to God's truth. But he does claim that he may have said a curse word back. And this is, again, always the fun fact that we laugh about. And I say this story all the time, and he's like, oh gosh. But I always say the worst curse word in his home growing up was what that your dad would say.
He would say Judas Priest, which I don't know why that's a bad word, but I
It's
guess
so
because he
funny.
was a traitor or something. But yeah, that was
That
the
was his role model growing up. Like, that is as bad as it got as far as getting angry and saying words. Where it's like in my family, totally the opposite. Like, lots of curse words flying around at all times. So I have to tone it down. These are the things that we learn. Like, we learn our audience, and and we flow with it. But it is always the joke. And please do tell. Here's the second part of this question.
okay.
Please tell us, do you ever yell or raise your voice?
I mean, I used to when I was younger, but it evolved, I think, to temper that reaction if it ever came up.
100%. In the 10 years, I've only heard him raise his voice, I think, twice.
Hmm.
And one was, us having a conversation. And then one was maybe with one of the kids. But other than that, like, no, very, like, yeah, very I'm the one who will raise my voice and get more angry. Okay, last one. Someone wants to know what the best part about marriage is when you meet someone later in life.
I think the best part is just having that person to share your life with and not feeling like, oh, you're getting older and it's
Mm,
hopeless and you're going to be by yourself. But now just having the person to share experiences with,
yeah.
if it wasn't in our 40s, if it was in our 30s or 50s or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, so even if you're in your 60s or 70s, you might meet a new
Yeah,
person.
we know a lot of people
We do, we do. Yeah.
that are in relationships, new relationships that are,
Right.
in their 60s, 70s, and hey, it happens. And I think that we both do have I mean, it's kind of like touching on energy for a moment, just because I really do believe that our energy together really works. And that's what it's about. It's about having fun and just really, what we said, we wanted to grow young together. And, have we hit bumps in the road? Like, I go through way more when it comes. Andy still lives young, you guys. Like, I laugh because I'm looking across the street right here, and our neighbor across the street, Moses, if you're listening, I'm talking about you. I laugh so hard because the two of them are like two teenagers comparing muscles and like who's
Oh
working
no.
out. I mean, but in a funny way, like, I'm not being weird about it, but I'm just saying, like, they both work out all the time, and they definitely, like yesterday it was like, oh, I'm going to the cold plunge, and Andy's like, see, you've one upped me, like, I don't do that cold plunge, and you know it's so
Yeah.
funny. But I love that because it's like he definitely, you, babe, definitely stay in that very young mindset. I try, but I am going through like the whole perimenopause, and I don't want that to be my identity, but it
Right.
definitely has like thrown me for a loop a little bit in the last
Hmm.
couple of years, and Andy's had to tread a little bit with that with me and go through that with me, but we're learning how to navigate that and, just trying to like do things that keep us young and just and vibrant and wanting to live life and be happy. But again, I say Andy with our energy definitely brings the calm. I might bring more of the expression and and if you couldn't tell that, I mean, it's pretty obvious on the podcast today. I think that came through. But I think it balances us. And I think that's really what it does. But curious, Andy, I know I said that that was the last question, but I do have one more.
Okay.
How does it feel being with someone who feels things so deeply? I am a feeler, and I definitely go
I think I'm kind of used to that, just having grown up with
through.
three sisters and, you know, mom and aunts, and just it's not something that's so foreign.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
You grew
know,
up with a lot of girls.
yeah, I grew up with a lot of girls, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm probably more emotional than a lot of guys that I know, that I know. So it's all relative, really.
Yeah. You
Um,
think so? You think you're more emotional?
Probably compared to some of my friends, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
I
then
know.
compared to others, not.
Yeah.
So
Like you said, it's all relative.
it's
I
all
mean,
relative.
you're not a sappy guy, but you definitely
No.
like there are times that something can bring you to tears or like
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Mm,
And those are the moments I love to see too,
mhm.
because I just feel like, that's when I know something has like touched you.
Right.
And then just to wrap this up, because again, this is part of our love series. So we've been talking a
Okay.
lot about like living in the frequency of love and
Yep. And
uh,
Valentine's Day is this Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who has maybe lost hope in love? What would you say to them?
I mean, I'd say don't give up. It's kind of cliche, but you just maybe your environment might need to change, or
That's good
your
advice.
expectations, or your.
Oh, that's right there.
Mhm.
Expand on that for a second, what your viewpoint is on expectations, because I think this is good
Well, you just
advice.
have to be open-minded to new people, new experiences. You can't if you try to pigeonhole, it's going to be very hard to meet someone that fits exactly what you're looking for. So,
Yeah. And you always say, don't go in with such high expectation. I mean, definitely have expectations.
yeah,
That's important and have high expectations, but like, don't expect someone to be perfect. Like, when I say I manifested you, I literally wrote a list of all the things I wanted in a partner, in a man, in a stepdad for my kids. And you literally, and I know I've shared this with you, but I think I've shared with our audience. I don't remember, but you literally on that list fit every single thing. So I did have expectations with the exception of one, and that was just the fact that I said over 6 feet tall and you're 5'10". That's the
5'10". Sorry.
but hey,
Yeah.
babe, this is the thing. I couldn't go in with like, oh, he's not over 6 feet tall, so
Right.
therefore he's out. I wouldn't do that because it's like you met all of these other beautiful things that I had been praying for and
Mhm.
manifesting for a long time. And I just, again, I that's why I think it's great advice is that not everyone is going to fit into that perfect box. So don't
Right.
overlook certain things that you don't, that aren't necessarily going to be important in the relationship. Right. Now, if you
Right.
were, maybe 5 feet tall, I'd be like,
Yeah, that's different. Yeah,
that's a little
I
different.
know.
But you guys, I just want to say to anyone listening, love doesn't have to be so dramatic. It doesn't have to be like so deep. It doesn't, it just has to be real, you guys. I mean, that really is what it is. And one of the things that I love most about our marriage is that it is really rooted in friendship. And I love that I can say that Andy is my very best friend. He's one I want to spend the most time with. And we can also, be loving and intimate in our marriage. It's just this really beautiful blend. And that's what makes it feel really safe. But it also makes it feel playful. It makes it feel steady, just really, really good. If you're married or you're partnered and things feel a little off, maybe you feel a little disconnected right now, I want to just gently encourage you and say to you that you can rediscover that again. Connection doesn't have to be lost forever, but one thing that it does require is practice. Like you have to practice. You have to acknowledge when the other one is in need of something. And so just kind of lean into that. If there's something that's feeling a little wonky, it can be reconnected. And if you're listening right now and you're single, I want you to hear this clearly. It is never too late to find real love and to feel that joyful love again. And those are the things, that's just the message that I feel like we wanted to get across. I wanted you to obviously meet Andy. So now you know, like when I refer to him in other episodes, you get a taste of who he is. And he's so much more than what we even shared in this episode, but we would be here for hours. But I think you got a taste of our relationship, our marriage, our love. And I just want to say thanks, babe, for coming on and braving it out with me. I know that this wasn't your most comfortable thing, but again, these are the things that we do for the people we love. And
Right.
you did not, you hesitated, but you ultimately said yes, and I didn't have to beg. So
There you
thanks.
go. All right.
Love you, babe.
Love you
Thank you
too.
all for letting us share a little piece of our real life with you. This has been fun. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, or at least as much as I did. And I'm just going to say, like I always do at the end of every episode, happy love month. Keep rising, keep shining, and remember that your best day is right here waiting for you. Thanks, friends. Bye, babe.
Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.